Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. My name is Dak, and some of you may know me by another nickname, which is Datio. It's not Daisho, it's Datio. Um, First of all, I would like to thank the organizers and Nguyễn Tất Thành University for having me here to talk with you all today. I would like to tell you a story about a promise that I made when I was 10 years old. Here's my mom, here's me, and my brother. You can probably see the features here, right? So when I was 10, I remember walking past my mom's room. The door was slightly open, so I peeked in. And there she was, sitting quietly in a corner, crying, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly. At the time, I was so young, so I didn't quite understand what was going on in my family. But I understood enough. For 12 years that my brother and I were in school, she had to borrow money to make sure that we could continue our education. Every morning, she would drive us to school on her motorbike. And later, she took us to extra classes across the city. Sometimes, she would have to stay out for an hour or two because she had to pick us up after school, and going home simply didn't make sense. There was not enough time. But she never complained. She did that for 12 years. And then I realized something that night, that my mom was carrying far more than any one person should carry alone. So I made a promise to myself that poverty is not an option and failure is not an option. And years later, I realized something surprising. The biggest turning point in my life was not working hard. It was trying to make my value visible. And that idea is what I call ethical personal branding. A lot of students, like yourselves and myself included, grow up believing and hearing the same advice. Study hard, get good grades, graduate, and then maybe someone might notice you. I believed that mindset completely. Back in high school, I studied really hard. I even participated in some English competitions at the city level and then later at the national level. And I even got some cash prizes. And eventually I got a scholarship to study at RMIT Vietnam, and later a full-ride scholarship to the National University of Singapore, studying linguistics. So I thought I was doing everything right at that moment. But when I graduated, my life took an unexpected turn. The world suddenly didn't open its doors for me. And hard work doesn't automatically make you visible to the recruiters, employers. When I got back to Vietnam, I started my career as an IELTS trainer. And for the longest time, I worked extremely hard, to the point where I would call myself a workaholic. I would teach 40 hours a week, and that's not including the hours that I put in for preparing lessons and grading homework. So I prepare lessons, I teach, I grade homework, rinse and repeat. And that was my life for a while. Sometimes I would do that for 6 months straight without any break, 7 days a week. But then I felt invisible. Nobody noticed me because there were so many other talented and hardworking teachers around me at the time. So I thought the solution was simple. You simply need to work harder. Just work harder. But that did not change the reality. Being hardworking doesn't automatically make you visible, and very few people notice my work. Then, one beautiful day, I came across a YouTuber explaining some difficult concept in a very simple way. Then I thought to myself, wow, the way he was explaining things was pretty amazing. And if he could help me understand something better, maybe sharing what I know with others online could help others improve as well. So I decided to give it a try. I started my YouTube channel. Back then it was called iOS with Datio, but right now it is Datio English. And some of you may or may not recognize this video. It was a long time ago. And honestly, my first few videos were super awkward. If you ask me to watch some of them right now, I'll probably go back in time and try to delete the internet because I was so awkward. But then, something unexpected happened after a year or so. People started noticing my work. They started seeing my video, 10,000 views, 50,000 views, and then hundreds of thousands of views. And students all over the country started messaging me, asking to study with me, and also they told me that my videos really helped them improve. So I realized something after that. Hard work creates skill, but visibility creates opportunity. Now, that realization that day led me to something that I call ethical personal branding. Now, when we think of the term personal branding, you guys probably think of images of influencers pretending to be successful online, right? But that's not what it means at all. It basically means make your value visible. With that in mind, there's an important distinction between self-promotion and ethical personal branding. While the former focuses on trying to look impressive to the outside world, the latter focuses on being useful to others. Now, moving to something that will be relevant to you guys when you actually graduate. I would like to draw your attention to two students, okay, who graduated from the same university. They studied the same major, had similar grades, but here's the difference. Student A, he does what most other students do. He studies, completes his assignments, takes exams, and graduates. All his work, though, is stuck on his laptop and within the university system. So when he applies for jobs, the recruiter only sees a resume that looks like any other resume among hundreds of resumes, because there was no portfolios, no public projects, no visible thinking on his part. Now, consider student B. She starts sharing what she learns right from her freshman year. She documents what she learns in a thoughtful, LinkedIn post. For example, after finishing a difficult project, she would write something on LinkedIn, sharing how she solved that problem. She also puts some of her projects on an online portfolio. Sometimes she writes about the lessons she learned from her internships during university. So when the recruiter searches her profile online, they don't just see a degree, they don't just see a resume. You know what they see? They see the way she thinks, the way she explains ideas, and they see evidence of her work. All the things that she shared, nothing flashy, Nothing exaggerated, just visible thinking. So here's the contrast. And let me ask you a simple question. If you were a recruiter, which applicant would stand out? Is it student A or student B? The answer is simple, right? That's what I call the power of ethical personal branding. And this idea is strongly supported by research as well. According to a 2018 survey conducted by Career Builder, one of the largest job search platforms in the US, about 70% of employers actually look up their applicants' profiles during the hiring process. And Harvard Business Reviews also highlights that professional visibility is positively correlated with career advancement, as individuals who have established a personal brand and reputation for expertise are much more likely to attract opportunities and collaborations. And this idea is also widely recognized by HR leaders nowadays. And recruiters are not just looking at resumes anymore. They look at signals of thinking, communication, and contribution. A portfolio, a blog post, especially a LinkedIn post, which is a very important platform when you are going out to the working world, or a public project, something that you made public, made available publicly. So these signals to the employer, recruiter, the way someone thinks, not just what degree they hold. So in a way, ethical personal branding is just a modern extension of reputation, but this is not reputation spreading through word of mouth. It now spreads through digital platforms. So how can a student like yourself apply ethical personal branding in practice? I would like to suggest 3 principles for you guys. Principle number 1, share what you learn. If you're learning something useful today, try to share it, teach it to your friend or someone you know tomorrow. Because sharing and teaching what you know, it builds understanding and visibility at the same time. Principle number 2, document your work. Don't just hide your projects within your laptop. It's such a waste. Try to share the process. Share what you tried, share what failed, and share what improved. Because over time, this documentation of your process becomes evidence of your work, which will come in handy when you apply for a job. And thirdly, principle number 3, contribute before you promote. Try to be useful to others first before you promote something about yourself. Answer questions, explain ideas, and share useful resources. Because when contribution becomes consistent, recognition usually follows. Well, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys here are introverts. So there's a question that remains. What if you're an introvert and you're like, hey, the world is built for extroverts, so where's my place in this world? You don't have to worry because I have something important to tell you. You know, personal branding doesn't mean that you have to be the loud person. You don't have to be the loudest person. Because some of the most respected voices in the world are actually introverts. They write, they research, they explain ideas clearly. So you don't need to perform anything. You just need to contribute what you know. So if you're an introvert, you don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You just need to stop hiding the value that you already have. There's so many examples of the things that you can do as an introvert. You can write something. You can share some useful and thoughtful blog post about some difficult concept that you have learned. You can post a video explaining something that you have learned. But you don't have to show your face because you're an introvert. I get it. There's so many successful YouTubers out there, TikTokers, who don't even show their face. Right now, we are entering a world where artificial intelligence kind of dominates certain industries. They can generate essays, write codes, images. They can even make videos and music. So the competition nowadays is no longer with the person sitting next to you. The real challenge today is how do you make yourself visible through the value that you create? Sometimes I still think about that 10-year-old boy who was standing in front of his mom's door, and then he made a promise to himself that failure was not an option. Years later, I was actually able to fulfill that promise and give my mom the life that she deserved. And then I started to look back and ask myself this simple question: what actually made the difference? So the biggest turning point in my life was not the scholarships. It was not my degree. I would even say not even the success of my career. The deciding moment was the moment that I stopped waiting. The moment I stopped waiting for someone to notice my work. The moment I started to share what I knew with the world. So if there's one idea that I'd like you to take from today's speech, it is this: don't wait until you graduate. Don't wait until someone gives you permission. Don't wait until you feel completely ready. Just start sharing what you know. Start contributing. Make your value visible. And most importantly, stop waiting to be chosen. Thank you.